Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Saturday, July 19th, 2025, and today's topic is going to be a continuation of a deep dive into pencil sketching, and it'll be about basic shading. We're going to keep it at the basics, but before we begin, welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day, and I use a timer to stay focused and to build a habit. I'll start a 10-minute timer. I'll link to yesterday's video, which has more details and a step-by-step on how I came up with this sketch. There's more details in that one. I won't go over everything. I didn't work on it. I left this so I can work on it today and show you. But instead, I sketched this so that I can kind of organize my thoughts, but also show something a little bit more complex than this one. But the process is exactly the same. But yeah, be sure to check out yesterday's video if you want to. Don't skip it unless you really understand it, because anything from today is going to, this is like the icing on the cake, the shading part. The success of this step is based upon the success of the previous, which is like the sketch and the composition. So when we get to shading, you might want to, especially if you're left-handed like me, might want to keep it from smearing because it's pencil. These are just some tips to start off with. So this is a 2B pencil, and here's like a value scale right here. This value matches what is on here, and I would call that starting lightly. I'm not pressing down on the paper. Now let's say that I apply a little bit more pressure like this. I probably wouldn't go any darker with this graphite, this lead as we call it. That's probably the darkest I would go, because if I go any further than that, it creates like you're digging into the paper. So that's something to keep in mind. And you could get like a darker pencil. For the sake of learning and simplicity, you might want to just stick with one for now. And if you fill in like all of the gaps in the paper, then it'll look smoother. But I wouldn't go darker than this. So that's something to keep in mind right there. Like that's the value scale. Again, if the composition and the sketch is off, like if you're not happy with it, anything you do in this stage is kind of pointless, I'll be honest with you. So just make sure like this part is correct. Now this is where people want to trace or something, but you really could just sketch it. Like I just do it in a sketchy kind of way just because it suits my personality, but you can tighten up a lot of stuff in the shading. My stuff will always have a little bit of, because to me it's just more interesting and anyway, just in general. So, and I'll work on this one a little bit today just to kind of go over some thoughts, but really this is more of the step-by-step right here. All right, so yeah, it's from reference, so I can see the value stuff. This was the initial pass of light and dark, where I laid in the tone in a light way, medium sort of pressure, so that I could go darker if I want to. So an example is this sketch isn't exactly like the reference, but it's close enough to where I can shade it similarly. So for example, right here, this area, you can push, so it's called pushing the value right here. I'm going to push it towards darker, so notice that this is darker than anything on here, except for maybe the actual like line, outline. So I'm going to, if you want it to look more detailed and not as sketchy, then you might want to stay a little bit within the lines and then blend. So this is, so blending is part of shading. Shading is kind of a general term. It's not necessarily the best term, but it works. I mean, that's what this is. But shading sort of, it includes a lot of different things. Part of what it includes is blending, or edges, in other words. If you're working on values like this, it's good to take your time, of course. Also, I like to use a certain amount of time to work on it, to do exactly what I want to do, and then step away from it so that my eyes don't become lost to the actual sketch. It's just blending. You figure out where the gradation is. It goes from dark. This is the darkest that this can go. And I wouldn't press down into the paper. If you can start to see a glare, then pressed too hard, in my opinion. And so that is showing the darkest. So this will be the darkest. The lightest would be the white of the paper. There might be areas where, if you're looking at the reference, for example, let's say like right here, you can lightly blend and it'll start looking more finished, more rendered, just by doing this. This was sort of the local value, meaning the stones of the ruins here, they're darker. The stones are darker than, let's say, the snow on the ground or like the clouds or the mist. That's local value. But then there's like a global value, meaning when you look at the whole picture, it looks like this part is the lightest area and everything else sort of has like a gradation that goes. So just be light about it. You can go in and either sharpen the pencil you're using, or in this case, I usually have like a mechanical pencil. These are the actual steps. But notice that I'm not really redrawing it. I'm just detailing, I'm just refining it. But that was already sketched in. And so this could be used for details, and if you want to blend it, you can just blend it. So that's basically how that would work. And just to kind of close out this video, I'll talk about this. So this is pretty much exactly the same. It's the same process, but it's a little bit more complex subject because there's more detail and there's architecture and stuff. And the reference that I used, this was actually over here, but I just drew it over here. So that's something that you can do also, just to rearrange it. The initial shading, you can just go like this. And it's pretty easy once you have the sketch. So I just used the same. I didn't use any rulers. So in yesterday's video, I did this line right here and it was crooked, so to speak, whereas this was done with a straight edge. So I did this, but I did the same technique where I just drew it freehand. But notice that it's okay, because if there's a straight line here, like a straighter line, it'll make that not as important. Yeah, I'm just like looking at reference. So for example, there's some clouds, so I don't have to draw the clouds. I can just shade like this, and again just go in and blend it later. And yet just either move the paper or move the pencil strokes. That's part of it also, is like how you apply the pencil strokes. So that's basically that, and just build it up kind of like the way I do with the pen and ink. I just kind of build it up gradually, and then this is the darkest that it'll go. So for example, right here would be the darkest. And yeah, I don't dig into the paper. Then you've got stuff like this. The windows go darker, so that's really it. And then yeah, just that's how you blend it. But that'll be it for today's video. I want to thank you for joining me for our daily sketching routine, and if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it, and until next time, keep on sketching.